The passenger slammed the door so hard, the whole car shuddered like it had taken a punch. "Don't even think about charging me for that route," he snapped, leaning back in like he owned the night. "You drivers are all the same, always trying to scam people." I kept my hands on the wheel, steady, calm, because if I let go for even a second, I might say something I couldn't take back. "You asked for the fastest way," I said, voice flat. "Traffic was blocked." "Excuses," he scoffed, tossed a crumpled bill onto the seat, and walked off like he'd just won something. I looked down. $5. The meter read 32. The streetlight flickered overhead, washing the dashboard in a dull orange glow. My knuckles were white against the steering wheel. And in that moment, engine idling, city humming around me, I felt something inside me crack. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a thread snapping after being pulled too tight for too long. I didn't chase him, didn't yell, didn't honk. I just sat there, watching his silhouette disappear into the glow of a building lobby, my reflection staring back at me in the rearview mirror, tired eyes, stubble I hadn't bothered shaving, a man who used to be something else. "Another one, Miles," I muttered to myself. "Just another one." But this one didn't feel like the others. This one stayed. My name is Miles Carter, and for the past 7 years, I've been a taxi driver. Not by dream, not by ambition, by necessity. Every morning I wake up before the sun in a one-bedroom apartment that smells faintly of old coffee and laundry detergent. My daughter, Leela, sleeps in the only bedroom. I take the couch. It's fine. She needs the space. She's 8. She thinks I'm a hero. I try not to let her see the cracks. "Dad, are you working late again?" she asked one morning, cereal spoon halfway to her mouth. "Just a little," I said, forcing a smile. "Gotta keep the lights on, right?" She grinned. "And my art supplies. Especially those." She didn't know about the rent notice tucked behind the fridge magnet, or the car maintenance bill I'd been ignoring, or how every ride felt like a gamble. Would this one pay fair, or would it be another story I'd swallow and move on from? I used to be a mechanic, owned a small shop, honest work, grease under the nails but pride in the chest. Then the lease got pulled. New owner, higher rent. I couldn't keep up. And just like that, I went from fixing cars to driving one. Funny how life works. It's not the driving that breaks you. It's the people. Not all of them. Some are kind, some even tip well. But the bad ones, they leave a mark. Why do you take so long? You drivers always go the long way. Do you even know what you're doing? Or worse, the looks. Like I'm invisible. Like I'm less. One night, a group of guys piled into the back seat, laughing too loud, smelling like expensive cologne and cheap decisions. "Hey man," one of them said, nudging his friend, "bet this guy's been driving all day just to afford dinner." They laughed. I kept driving, because what else was I supposed to do? The company I drove for didn't help. Dispatch would push back if I reported anything. Did they pay? The supervisor, Ronan Briggs, would ask in that bored voice of his. Well, no. Then what do you want us to do, Miles? You're not the only driver out there. Translation, deal with it. Ronan had never driven a day in his life, but he had opinions. Keep your ratings up, he'd say. Customers come first, even when customers treated us like garbage, especially then. That night, the $5 guy was just the tipping point. After him, it was like the universe decided to test how much I could take. A woman refused to pay because the ride didn't feel comfortable. A man accused me of overcharging and threatened to report me. Another passenger spilled coffee on the back seat and walked off like it wasn't his problem. Each time I reported it. Each time, Ronan shrugged it off. Part of the job, Miles. Part of the job. The words started echoing in my head like a bad song on repeat. Even at home. Even when Leela was showing me her drawings. "Look, Dad, I made you driving the taxi." She held up a crayon sketch, bright colors, big smile on my face. I stared at it longer than I should have. "Wow," I said softly. "That's really good." "You look happy," she added. I swallowed. "Yeah," I said. "I guess I do." That night, after she went to bed, I sat alone at the kitchen table, bills spread out like a losing hand. And for the first time, I thought about quitting. Not just the job, everything. Not in a dramatic way, just stepping off the track, letting life pass me by instead of constantly running uphill. But then I heard Leela's voice in my head. "You look happy." And I knew I couldn't quit. Not for her. The turning point didn't come with a bang. It came with a conversation. I was parked outside a diner, engine off, sipping lukewarm coffee, when another driver pulled up beside me. Ethan Brooks. Older guy, late 50s, been driving longer than I had. He knocked on my window. "You look like you just lost a fight," he said as I rolled it down. "Feels like I've been losing for a while," I replied. He chuckled. "Yeah, this job will do that." We sat in silence for a moment, watching the neon lights flicker. "Why do you stay?" I asked. He looked at me. "Same reason you do," he said. "Someone's counting on me." I nodded. "Then how do you deal with it?" I pressed. "The disrespect, the scams, management not caring." Ethan smiled. "You don't fight them head on," he said. "You outsmart them." I frowned. "How?" He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You ever read the company policy manual?" I blinked. "What?" "Exactly," he said, tapping the side of his head. "They count on that." That night, I went home and dug through my old emails. Buried deep was a PDF, Driver Conduct and Customer Policy. I opened it and started reading. Really reading. Hours passed, page after page, and somewhere between the legal jargon and the fine print, I found it. A clause buried under customer disputes. Drivers are authorized to document and report non-payment incidents with supporting evidence. Repeated offenders may be flagged and restricted from service. I sat back, heart pounding. Supporting evidence. No one had ever mentioned that part, because no one expected drivers to use it. But I wasn't just a driver. I was a mechanic once, a problem solver, and suddenly I had a plan. The next day, I made a small investment, a dash cam. Nothing fancy, just enough to record audio and video inside the car. "New toy?" Ethan asked when he saw it. "New strategy," I replied. From that point on, every ride was documented, every conversation, every payment. At first, nothing changed. People still complained, still tried to short me, but now I had proof. The first time I used it was with a guy named Trevor Hale. He tried the classic move, claiming he'd already paid. "You're mistaken," he said smoothly. "I gave you cash." I calmly pointed to the camera. "Then you won't mind if we review the footage," I said. His confidence cracked. "Look, man." $32, I said. He paid. Word spread, slowly, quietly, among passengers who thought they could get away with things. Miles Carter wasn't the easy target anymore. But the real payoff came a few weeks later. Remember the $5 guy? I saw him again. Same smug walk, same entitled energy. He slid into the back seat like he owned it. "Downtown," he said. I met his eyes in the mirror. "Sure thing." The ride was quiet, tense. When we arrived, the meter read 35. He tossed a 10 onto the seat. "Keep the change," he said, already reaching for the door. I didn't move. "Sir," I said calmly, "the full fare is $35. He sighed dramatically. "Not this again." I tilted my head slightly. Actually, I said, this time's different. I pointed to the dash cam. And I've already flagged your previous ride. His expression shifted. What? Company policy, I continued, my voice steady. Repeated non-payment incidents result in account restrictions. You're bluffing. I reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a printed copy of the policy, highlighted, annotated. Page 14, I said. He stared at it, then at me. The power dynamic had shifted completely. 35, I repeated. He hesitated. Then, slowly, he pulled out his wallet, paid, every cent. And as he stepped out, he didn't slam the door this time, didn't say a word, just walked away. Things didn't magically become perfect after that. I still had long days, still had difficult passengers, but something had changed. Me. I wasn't just enduring anymore. I was standing my ground, smartly, legally, with dignity. Ronan even called me into the office one day. "I've noticed your reports," he said, flipping through a file. "Very thorough." "I read the policy," I replied. He nodded slowly. "Well, keep it up." For the first time, there was something like respect in his voice. At home, things started to feel lighter. Not because the bills disappeared, but because I wasn't carrying the same weight inside. One evening, Leela handed me another drawing. This time, I was still in the taxi, but I wasn't just smiling. I looked strong. "Is that how you see me?" I asked. She nodded. "Always." I smiled, and this time, it felt real. Life doesn't always give you the chance to fight back the way you want. Sometimes the loudest victories are quiet. A line drawn, a boundary held, a moment where you choose not to break, even when everything tries to bend you. I didn't get revenge in the way movies show it. No dramatic confrontations, no shouting matches, just a simple shift from being taken advantage of to being respected. And maybe that's the real win. So I'll leave you with this. When the world keeps pushing you down, do you fight harder or do you learn how to stand smarter? If this story meant something to you, if you've ever felt overlooked, undervalued, or pushed to your limit, consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around. Because sometimes the quiet fights are the ones worth telling. The shift ends, but the stories never do. Every smile hides a struggle, every word a story. Hit subscribe and see the human side of work. Thank you for watching.